What's the greatest lie a kid at your school told to try and be cool? Dumb girl at my school tried to buy acid pills from the drug dealer in our grade. Drug dealer and his buddies thought it would be hilarious to empty out pill capsules, fill them with sugar, and then charge her $50 for 2 of them. Well, she fell for it, handed over the cash, and then proceeded to tell all her friends she was going to take the pills during our lunch period. She swallowed them very publicly and then started acting like a psychopath, running around screaming about seeing unicorns and leprechauns and rainbows, and she kept telling random people that they were on fire. Best part was, everyone knew about the sugar pills except her. When she didn't get the attention she wanted, she figured out she'd been duped. Then she tried to turn in the drug dealer and got suspended for trying to buy drugs on school property. Funniest thing ever. This reminds me of my mother making a rum cake for my birthday when I was 13, and I had 2 friends around, one of which faked being extremely drunk off of the cake or something. He had a very Christian and sheltered upbringing. My buddy and I laughed cringed quite a bit. Just before puberty hit, my friend told me he had to pull a sperm from his penis hole whilst in the shower. He described it like a white tadpole about the size of a Pez candy. He had to release it down the drain afterwards. I believed every goddamn minute of that story too. Had a similar story we always told. See, there was this guy in school named Sanchez. I don't know why they called him that, but the rumor always was that his nuts were so big that when he came he could fill an Nalgene bottle halfway up with CM. I believed that one for quite a while. A kid told us he'd found out how to wank. Basically you hold it at the base and wiggle it every which way as fast as you can. And then at the end green stuff comes out. Spent ages thrashing that thing around trying to get some green stuff out. I think that kid has a problem. My one friend told me in 1st grade that he blew a bubble so big it filled the whole room and everyone was pushed up against a wall until it popped and got everything all sticky. I was a gullible child. In elementary we had a kid tell everyone in class his dad owned a popular pizza restaurant in town. We would have believed him except the owner's son was also in our class and called him out on it. Plot twist, they are competitive brothers. That he sucked on his babysitter's tea. I can't remember if it was 4th or 5th grade, but he told everyone in our little circle and one of the boys said, "You made my thing go up." One of my friends in grade school said something similar. He went to spend the night at one of his friend's house, and his friend's elder sister was there and invited him into her room, and he stayed the night with her and got to see her boobs. Had a kid say he knew how to speak Chinese in 4th grade. His response, "Chung clang bong queer zioni shong shag me." Looking back, I think I believed it. Shag me, hidden message right there. I was at a slumber party in elementary school and one girl claimed that a boy in our class gave her a magic potion that made her want to sleep with him. Looking back at it, I realize what she could have been accusing him of. It wasn't true though. She told all sorts of crazy lies. I did the lie. I was in 2nd or 3rd grade and it was the early 90s. I told my friends that I did Bart Simpson's laugh on The Simpsons. Not his voice, just the laugh. I could do it really well back then. No one believed me. Yeah, sure you can do it really well. We all believe you, buddy. My sibling started public school as a sophomore. Before that we were homeschooled. He told everyone he was from California and adopted a surfer dude persona. He would only wear surfer brands, tanned a lot, and bleached his hair. We live in Alaska. That's actually really funny. A friend of mine, fluent in Japanese and is Japanese, went to school in Japan for a semester and pretended to be completely illiterate and fake a very strong American accent. I'm sure it was funny. My senior year of high school, there was a guy in my pay class who claimed he'd been recruited to work for a cybernetics company that would arrange for him to be educated at MIT on a full ride scholarship. He said they were going to be working on defense systems like in Terminator. This guy was kind of a loner, so I didn't have many occasions to speak to him or really know him that well. But what I knew of him, he was a fair student, but I wasn't aware of him being a cybernetic organism prodigy. Anyway, it was nuts, but I didn't call bulls because he was a nice guy and I wasn't in the mood to be a dong. Also, I guess there was like a 0.001% chance it was true. Anyway, a few years later, I saw him. still in town, and he was working as a grocery bagger at an Albertson supermarket. He said hello and I didn't mention the cyborg thing because it was possible he was, in fact, a convincing cyborg. I didn't want to get my arms ripped off if that was the case. That he swam 5 miles off the coast with a shark and played with it for an hour before his dad waved at him to come back. We were 6. 5 miles is a long distance. This kid told the 5th grade class that he and his ex-Navy grandpa got to fly in a fighter jet together. Kid was about 10, and something went wrong so they had to eject via the rocket seats. My guess he was allowed to sit in the cockpit for a few seconds at a tour while with his grandpa. My dad was an aircraft engineer in the RAF and I told a similar lie when I was a kid, except I was given the controls of a Harrier after takeoff and we never had to eject, because I was an awesome pilot, of course. When RuneScape got big I was in elementary school and had zero idea what it was, but when my classmates asked me about it I confidently told them that I, a level 193 badass, had a full set of dragonhide armor and a pet giant that would fight for me, and that I could ride him in between the worlds. Those suckers ate that crap up and I was the coolest kid in 5th grade till they all realized you couldn't do any of that crap. I knew a kid that said he played Simant 2000. You could ride on wasps. I wish that game existed. His uncle had a lion on his farm that protected their sheep, and they had to regularly go hunt for tigers because they killed their sheep. The lion was supposedly also very playful. I'm pretty sure lion was the name of a golden retriever. Well, if it was an actual lion, it's doing a crap job protecting the sheep if the tigers keep killing them. That he fricked the sexy guidance counselor. This kid is a pathological liar, so nobody believed him. Turned out to be true, but it happened after he said it did. Not sure how that worked out. Go to visualize the results you desire, I suppose. A girl in my 4th grade told everyone she could waterbend, and every time it rained she said it was because she was sad and couldn't control her powers yet. Another girl in my class said she was half cat and whenever she was asked a question, she would meow back instead. This went on until the end of 6th grade and I was put into the same class with the both of them. We also had identical twin sisters who even sounded the same, and they would constantly switch places and act like each other just for fun. Imagine how annoyed my teachers were. This dude used to tell people he had a 7-foot 300 pounds bodyguard named Vito. He would randomly whip out his phone and take fake phone calls from fake Vito all the time, talking about the cool places they were gonna meet up and cool stuff they were gonna do. A kid I went to school with said he invented the color gray. He took the white and black crayons and used them at the same time. A teacher friend of mine said one of her students forged his mom's signature. He wrote mom. He insisted that his mom really did sign the form. Did the same thing on a piece of paper to get a fish from class. I even told her my mom scribbled it so badly cause she had diarrhea. A friend girl remarked that she had a PlayStation 9. She told everyone that it was limited edition. Her mother paid thousands for it, and Sony will never make another one once it is sold out. Keep in mind that at that time, the PS3 didn't even come out. What actually happened is somebody asked her if she has a PlayStation and she said neen. At that point the kid freaked out and she knew she was in too deep. Oh man, we had a kid at my school who completely fabricated a girlfriend, Ellen, who lived in Winnipeg. We lived on the west coast. Apparently they met over the summer, but were doing the long distance thing, which was odd BC if I recall correctly. This was grade 7. He was a pretty fat, super nerdy kid who wrote plays about cows, so not exactly the type for transcontinental romance. He even went so far as to make up an email address, write himself letters, fake photos, phone calls, the whole bit. This was in the late 90s, so people bought it for a while, but eventually, once people started questioning it, he claimed it was all a joke and we were the suckers. I want to hear some of these cow plays. That the mystery flavor of Dum Dums, although very rare, will sometimes have a rainbow color with all the flavors. I wasted so many bank suckers on mystery when I knew pineapples and grapes were my favorite. I hope he has Huntington's disease. You probably know this, but they put the mystery wrapper on when they're changing flavors and it's the end of one type and the start of another. Who knows? You might get a pineapple grape one someday. Not rainbow but. The bully when I was in school used to lie about having siblings. I have no idea why. We all knew she was lying, but she did it anyway. It might have worked when we were 5, but not at 12 or 13. Sure, it was an attention thing, but it's not like it made her cooler. Then again, she also thought physically hurting people was cool, so I wasn't a bully, the opposite actually, but I was an only child and I lied about having siblings too. I've never met another only child my entire life thus far who was born in my home state, Utah. This dude said he was born in international waters, off the coast of the state we lived in. It was such a stupid lie, because he also told us the county that issued his birth certificate. It was an England county. 8th grade, this kid named Jeremy told a bunch of us him and his dad drove to Area 51 in the middle of the night, took apart a stealth fighter with just a screwdriver and put it in his dad's truck, went home and put the whole thing back together in his attic. You can actually do a lot with a sonic screwdriver, and it was no ordinary stealth fighter, it was a TARDIS. This guy knew his crap. My freshman year of college I lived in an all-freshman dorm. Of course, we had cops on and out constantly, mainly for weed and alcohol. One day the entire floor smelled like weed, every room, the bathrooms, even into the stairwell. Some kids are talking about it in class and one guy turns around and says I was selling a pound of weed from my room that day. No one believed it. Somebody had to have been selling weed. Some freshman in high school years back told my girlfriend that he was a serious big time drug dealer and he killed a dude because he tried to frick with his product. And she asked him why he would tell her this if it was true, and he said cause he trusted her, but they just met for the first time that period. I used to volunteer with this kid who was incredibly socially awkward. Like I am pretty sure I was the only person he spoke to who wasn't a family member. Anyway, I think he felt the need to overcompensate because he would just tell me these outlandishly bulls stories almost every day. I'm usually the kind of guy who calls bulls on people like him, but he was a genuinely nice lad so I'll let him off. Anyway, a few of his stories. 1. His uncle became a millionaire because he taught divers to fall backwards into the water instead of falling forward into the boat, and now his family is allowed to dive anywhere in the world for free. 2. A majority of his family members were SAS and were stationed at Buckingham Palace, and if I told anyone he and I could be assassinated. Funny thing is my ex-best friend's dad was in the SAS, and there wasn't much he was forbidden to speak about. He couldn't discuss his future deployments and that was it. 3. His grandfather survived the plague because he was in France fighting the War of the Roses. Who knew the SAS has been around for that long, and who knew the plague magically avoided France? 4. Apparently he has 8 telephones in his house because all his friends do is call him 24/7. Apparently none of them have Facebook so they call him. 5. Apparently he has sex every night with random woman every time. When I asked him where he finds these lusty Latinas he told me he can't remember because he was too drunk. 6. Apparently he has his own tractor that he drives to college and back. I go to the same college and I've never once seen a tractor. 7. Apparently he was training to be a vigilante but he had to quit because his parents wanted him to go to college. Talk about priorities. Jeez. Dang. I figured this was like middle school until you mentioned college. Kinda reminds me of a guy I knew in 7th grade. Him. You know I stopped a school shooting. Me. No, you didn't. Remember Oprah's favorite things episodes? Before she gave the whole world a car, she used to do Christmas episodes where the audience a ton of awesome free stuff. For some reason, a girl at my high school loved to boast that she had tickets to next year's show. Every year. Next year never came. It was a bizarre lie. She seemed pretty normal otherwise. A girl at my school got her upper lip waxed, but something went wrong. It got super scabby and red above her lip. Instead of telling everyone she had to get her face waxed, she told everyone at school that she was making Pop-Tarts in the toaster, and leaned over the toaster as the Pop-Tarts popped out, and they burned her just above her lip. And that was the day I double fooled them about my herpes. Sigh. Good times. A classmate in my grade but another teacher's class told me that her sister had Mrs. Davie, the teacher we'd have next year, and that she was super mean and as punishment for talking she'd thumbtack kids by their noses to the wall. I believed her and was terrified on the first day of 3rd grade. Mrs. Davie ended up being the best freaking teacher I'd ever had. Frick you, Tiffany. That sounds like she was just repeating something her older sister made up to scare her about starting 3rd grade. He said he was in the Leaning Tower of Pisa when the earthquake happened that made it lean. He had a tennis court in his backyard. He was in front of the church across the street from the Twin Towers on 9/11 and he was blown backwards. He had a swimming pool that was inside and outside of his house that were connected. It turned out he just wanted to impress me. I just got mental images of a badass pool that I now desperately want to build. This lie wasn't necessarily intended to make me cool, more to just see if people would believe a line of bulls. Senior year of high school, me and a buddy convinced about 2/3 of the school that I was featured on an episode of Reading Rainbow. When asked to see footage, I brushed it off as not thinking it had ever come up later in life and that we lost the tape. This went on for a few months until I got tired of talking about LeVar Burton. You can't disappoint a picture. Haha, not so much to be cool, but he was a bit odd and had horrible social anxiety. This one dude comes in new to our high school, junior year. He spoke with a British accent and was very, very funny. Had a hilarious, purposely naive way of acting, just to make us all laugh. He was like that for the first month, and we all thought he was from England. Then, a month later, his accent was gone. Noticed when he answered a teacher's question in marketing class. Everyone turned around and went, "What the heck, man?" He goes, "Oh, I'm not really from England. I was just really nervous to be the new kid and don't know how to talk to people. So I made another persona to take the edge off my anxiety." Hi. We all cracked up, then got on with it. I have so many stories about that kid. More please. A white, popular girl in my grade with a huge mouth bragged that her dad was black. She doesn't even look mixed race. This was at some point between 2005 and 2009 when people weren't as PC as they are now. It's not the greatest lie out there, but I was surprised she had the cajones to make it up. I was the weird liar in elementary school. In 1st grade I told a neighbor kid, Jeff, that I didn't breathe. My dad was born without a sense of smell and I somehow got that confused with actually breathing and wanted to be like my dad. Jeff put his hand under my nose to confirm that I didn't breathe while I held my breath. Jeff turned out to be a huge blabbermouth and told everyone on our street and everyone in school that I didn't need to breathe. My 1st grade teacher questioned me about it and I told her that I wasn't sure why Jeff made the whole thing up because I never said that. I made poor Jeff look like a liar. Also, in middle school my dad went through a country western phase. LOL. And he and his girlfriend took me to a place that held line dancing lessons, which happened to be connected to a bar. I told people that my parents let me go to bars. That she owned every CD ever made and had a pink Xbox that her mom got for working at Taco Bell. I was so pee about the CD one and quizzed her for weeks until she admitted the truth. Said they were going to be on Nickelodeon. Got to kiss the actor in the love scene. We were like 11. Could fly 20 people out to watch the taping. Got to stay in LA for free. Most of us knew it was BS but it was funny to see. There was this guy in my class. Let's call him Robbie, because that's his name. Robbie quickly became infamous for balls at high school. He would constantly make crap up that just wasn't possible. If he had said them as a joke then no problem, but he would defend every lie to the death no matter how stupid they were. For years he tried to convince people he had sponsorship from Red Bull, was a millionaire, and was a multi-time world motocross champion. We were 12. Because that's his name, made me spit out my drink with laughter. I jumped a granny on the Alpine Slide. The Alpine Slide was a tourist attraction at a ski resort that was intended to attract people during the summer months. Basically you rode a sort of cart thing down a long slide down the mountainside. This kid claimed he had jumped over a grandma while sliding down. Needless to say, no one believed him. It would have been impossible. Growing up I lived in an area just outside the district all my friends on my road went to school at, So basically all my friends never went to my schools, but I'd live right next to them. It was weird. I was one of 4 houses on my road in a different district. Anyways, I used to tell my road friends about all these fights I'd get into at school and how I used to beat kids up all the time. I felt cool because by the time high school came around, I had a legendary reputation of being a badass in other schools, and I'd meet these girls out at parties that have heard of me because of that, and they thought I was some sweet, nice guy with a bad reputation, when really, I was always just a nice, sweet guy that never liked or wanted to fight anyone except twice in my life, both post high school. Friend says that they have to go to Africa for a funeral for the whole weekend. Despite people seeing her Saturday night, she's still stuck by the story. Well, I once lied about being a vampire, and a load of kids believed it too, for reasons I've never understood. I once threatened to bite a kid and he had a full-on screaming, crying panic attack meltdown afterwards. We were weird kids. He told everyone, except for me, that we had shared a Spiderman kiss. You know the one. He was upside down and I was right side up. I don't even know why that lie. Kissing me in and of itself was already an unbelievable lie, but to defy gravity, he needed his story to have layers, I guess. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.